Hey everybody, Adam Savage, and I am at Prop Store with Brandon Allinger.
Hey Adam.
Good morning, sir. We are visiting Blade Runner 2049 today, and
Yes.
we've got a kind of a thing we've never shown here before on the channel, which is two costumes from the same movie, one from the beginning and one from the end.
That's right, we're bookending here. Yes, and for me, this is one of the most memorable parts of this whole movie. What a great coat.
What
The
an
coat is
amazing
awesome.
coat. And we've covered some other Blade Runner items that are coming up in this auction. The Blade Runner blaster is so iconic. Designing another one must have been a high pressure situation. But Harrison Ford's trench coat from Blade Runner is so important filmically, design-wise. The idea of following it up with something that's just iconic blows my mind.
Yeah, but they did it. They achieved it. I mean, I love this coat. I think it is so cool. I love the collar, which we're illustrating very well here currently.
Yep.
The fact that it can go up or go down, the shearling in interior, the marking on the back, which we can show in a minute, just all of it is special.
And the idea that this is the future, so clothes are held together with magnets, and there's actual real magnets built into these guys.
Yes, yeah, and we know that this is specifically the one that he wore the very beginning of the film, the first time he gets out of the spinner, when he's walking up to Sapper's farm and the collar is up like that, that is this coat. We can screen match it based on markings on the back.
Amazing.
We have some great production photos where you can see little variances in the stitch lines. You can tell it's this exact coat. But what's interesting is you can see later they taped it. Now,
right.
You don't see that tape on camera when he's wearing it up. They basically shot this first, and then later, like that one, the collar is stitched and or taped down so that it stays in that exact position. And they did that to this one at some point, but before they taped it, he wore it collar up. So we've sort of presented it in the auction as the collar up version.
Yeah.
It does screen match that version, which
And
is
it also
awesome.
has the full shearling that's weathered, just like the stuff from...
Yeah, you can still fold this down.
Yeah.
I mean, as per the tape, you can fold it down,
right.
kind of realign the tape, and that's how it was maybe filmed in some other scenes. But we thought it was really kind of an important coat, and that it is the first one you see in the movie. It's also on one of the posters, the sort of vertical portrait format poster that's just K in the spinner, kind of in the fog, big white background.
This specific coat.
It would be, because that's, it's a still photo from that shoot. So, yeah.
Can we turn it around? Let's talk about the back. There's so much argument online about both what color this thing is.
Yep. You can spin him independent of the post.
Oh, I
want.
can?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. That's much easier.
It's just
All
a lean stand.
I'll
there.
hold him up.
Yeah.
So very subtly here, we can see what looks like some stylized lettering painted into the back of his coat. And it's almost only visible in that one shot in the beginning of the movie.
Right, it's very subtle. You don't notice it a lot. Yeah.
I
love the color.
Dude, the color, by the way, and again, there's reams of argument about this color. It is a dark green. People don't realize it looks quite black. It looks many different colors in the film, but it is effectively a dark green, like wax canvas. I know there's a lot of discussion about leather, but it's the future where there are no animals. It can't be leather. Sorry, I'm yelling at the...
That's right. It is a canvas material, and we think probably airbrushed rather than dyed. We think they've gone in, if you look at, there's some tells here and there. If you look at the way it's been done, it looks like they've sprayed this on as a green airbrush over what was probably a black canvas. So you may be getting the black tones coming through in some places.
Oh, so the writing might just be masked.
I get.
That could
I don't know.
almost be,
It looks thick enough that I have a feeling they printed that on top. But I guess I don't know. It's interesting. It could be.
Let's just take a minute also to recognize that while this is the newest version of the coat we see, it has been weathered and beaten up to look like an old piece of kit.
Yeah, definitely. It's that used universe thing.
Yeah.
Whatever they did here to get the kind of dirt treatment on it. They had a number of different coats from the movie. They all have this same style of weathering that's been applied throughout. You see it very heavily on the forearms. Some of that could also be from filming. I mean, they had a lot of dirty sets. He's rolling around in the dirt. No doubt some of that is real, but you can see there's a very specific white line there.
Yeah.
And if you watch the film the first time he walks up to Sapper's farmhouse, you'll see that right on the back of his coat.
I'm curious, now this is just totally separate, but I'm curious if you have a specific ritual for how you do screen matching. Do you sit there like at the same table with your laptop here and the big screen there in the 4K and you're pausing and screen checking?
Definitely. I mean, it's interesting, when we do studio auctions like this, it can be easier than screen matching other things because like in this case, at one point, we had all of the jackets here.
So you get to figure out which one it is.
Go down the road. So you can look for something on screen and go, oh, look, there's a little unique tell here. And you go, not this one. Not this one. Oh, there it is, you know. And so because you know you have kind of everything to look at, you can figure out what is
which
what.
one.
But you know, these are really well made and in many cases very similar. And the screen matching thing can be a trick because sometimes you'll see like, oh, you know, there's a depression here or it runs a certain way here. And you think that would be a tell, but then you go, oh no, 3 of them are like that. Because they're all made from the same pattern, essentially, they will kind of sit naturally in a similar way. But at some point, they're also handmade, which means, you know, you'll find variances in like where the stitching ends, where they cut the thread and just little things, or say the weathering, you know, sometimes the lines of dirt, you'll see something there. It's a process. You know, we put a lot of time into screen matching because it takes time.
Yeah.
But we think it's important for us. It's kind of like movie archaeology. It's figuring out, you know, because it's not like this code is tagged opening scene. It's just tagged as a K code. We have to go in and literally do the photo matching or screen matching in order to know that it was this exact one.
I have only screen matched something in my collection, I think once, and it was a thrilling day.
Right, it's exciting.
It was a real endorphin rush.
Yeah, it's sort of like time travel because you're looking at the film or you're looking at the photo and it's like, there it is, and look at this weird little fault, and then here's the exact same thing in my hands now today, and it connects you to the movie.
It connects you to the movie, and for that minute, you might be the only person in the world who knows that this is the thing from that scene.
Yes, that's right.
Like,
yes.
that's really cool.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of discussion from people who've made these coats and people who buy replicas of these about how heavy this coat is, because it looks like quite a heavy coat, but in fact, the fabric is pretty lightweight. I mean, there's many layers to it, but I think that one of the things that I'm always wanting to tell cosplayers is like, go lighter on your fabric choice, because it builds up and it gets very stiff very quickly.
Well, here's the question. You were there, so this jacket would have been worn in an exterior set. Was it cold there?
In Budapest, so I did visit Sapper Morton's farm, which is effectively right next to the production offices. It's literally, if you made a right out of the production office, you'd hit the white tree and Sapper Morton's farm. Yeah, it was a little chilly out there, right? When we were there, and they had filmed a couple months earlier.
Not frigid to the point.
Not frigid.
Okay.
But this would be a really nice coat in very cold weather.
Yeah, well, you got the shearling. Keep you warm.
So you said we had, quote, all the coats.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people don't realize that for a single costume in a film, there's literally every stain that happens to that costume might end up being a separate costume item.
Yeah, and also, you know, they'll have some that are intended for the primary actor, in this case Ryan Gosling, some that are intended for stunt performers.
Yeah.
I don't know with this particular garment if there are size differences or not. I can tell you there were ones that were marked as stunt coats that we found on Gosling.
Oh, fascinating.
So, you know, they were using things interchangeably, I think. And probably there was intent at the beginning to have a specific set for Gosling versus the stunt performers. But as production goes on, you know, they wind up pressing everything they have into service at one time or another.
Well, and if you don't mind me saying, this one is labeled stunt on the pocket, but I can imagine after you've done all this weathering and the dried blood inside, that Ryan's just going to take off his jacket and hand it to a stunt guy.
And let me tell you, this one over here, the easiest one to screen match based on all the seawater staining. So not quite so subtle on that. Here, I'll set this guy up.
Cool. So let's get this. I just didn't want to take my hand off of him.
Yeah. I'll reset that on his base. So, right, so bookending the other end of the film.
This is the very end of the movie. Is this the very end, like sitting on the steps?
Yeah, in the snow, final shots, And you know,
the Vangelis music comes up.
Yeah, it's a great ending. The overhead shot of him laying on the steps. And people may think that it's sort of meant to be snow on the coat because it's a snow scene, but I'm pretty sure we're looking at saltwater stains from the big battle scene that they just had in the ocean, right?
And all this dried blood. I mean, it is like, he is completely caked in dried blood. This had to be an unpleasant costume to put on.
Yeah, and I think when this came out of the wardrobe bag that it had been in for a number of years, this was fully adhered to the sweater and the pants. And in fact, if you handle the sweater, you can see it's still just like a board there.
Oh my God,
because it's so rigid from being soaked in the movie blood.
Oh my gosh. And so you guys were able to screen match this to the very end.
Yeah. I mean, all this salt staining you'll see very specifically. And I think he even opens the coat and kind of looks down at his wound, and you see all the blood on the interior as well. So this is a really specific one and really recognizable, you know?
That is an amazing... It's an amazing bookend to get to see from the beginning to the end. Do you know how many coats they made for production in total?
I don't know if I have the full total at the top of my head. I can tell you we have 4 in the auction. So there's these 2, and then there's the one that was worn in Deckard's apartment, which is also bloody because he gets, they kind of attack the apartment. He gets blown over. He takes some shrapnel. I think that's where that wound comes from. And then there's a clean version that was worn in a number of different scenes, including the memory vault scene. So we have 4 in the auction. Alcon, the production company, they're holding some for their archives.
Gotcha.
But I think the 4 that we have in the auction are really great, and each one of them is screen matched to different scenes. So if you're a fan, if you're a collector and you want one, you do get a bit of choice here.
This, like I told you, I got to spend a week on set in Budapest, and I did actually spend a fair bit of time with the costume department.
Okay.
And
did you see these then?
I did not get to see these.
Okay.
They were very proud of their work. It was an excellent costume shop to visit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the results speak for themselves.
The results really do, and that's actually why I want to bring up Love's Coat and have that be part of this, because this is produced by the same costume department for the same film. This is Nyander Wallace's henchwoman, played by Sylvia Hooks.
I believe so.
Hooks?
Yeah.
This is a magnificent piece. It is super lightweight. There's this funny thing in film that when you want to make something look like a billionaire would wear it, like it's haute couture, you kind of just have to make haute couture.
Okay.
And this is like as good as any fashion house would put out in terms of its refinement and perfection.
And if I'm not mistaken, we are using the same magnet closures in that as this.
Yeah,
right?
there's a magnet here and a magnet there, and you can see a little bit of darkening from all of that. And then this is this like super lightweight plastic. It's really kind of amazing feeling.
Yeah, that great quilted texture. And the interesting thing about this, the white color just pops on screen. There's a lot of muted tones in the movie overall, but I think the white is such a splash of color. Sometimes you get obviously the neon in Blade Runner. You do get some bright colors here and there, but there's a lot of it that's kind of monochrome as well.
It's a really seeing the sacred and the profane, the bloody and the absolutely clean together, gives some sense of the incredible dynamism of a costume shop like this. Having to produce stuff that's, again, from this refined to this beaten to crap.
Yeah, and having to make multiples, and I think,
there's probably more than one of these.
3 of those. Yeah. And she wears the coat with a few different changes. So this is one specific scene where she's got the burgundy colored tank top. There's another version that I think is just a black sweater underneath. There's multiple wardrobe changes, which probably most people watching the movie aren't really even picking up on.
Yeah.
Even Kay, I don't know if you know, Adam, maybe you do. He has 2 different sweaters in the movie.
I didn't know that he had 2 different sweaters.
There's a charcoal or bluish colored sweater at the beginning of the film when he goes through the fight with Sapper, and then he sort of showers and gets himself cleaned up, and you never see that again. It goes
to this more black one.
So actually, if we open this up, the blue sweater will be underneath.
What?
Let's see.
Is the blue sweater part of the auction for this coat?
Yes. Oh. Yeah. No, each of these is a full costume. Yeah. You see the difference in the sweaters there?
Right. And they've got some. One of the distinctive things is the sort of stitching on all the sweaters here on the shoulder.
Yeah.
And they've done some over here, like
exactly.
The replicants only get hand-me-downs. I guess.
I guess so. Yeah. See, a lot of thought has gone into every element of that.
Right. All that narrativizing. Here's another repair over here that's different than it is over there.
Yeah, slightly different location than on the black sweater. The pants are the same, the boots are the same. And I think each of the K costumes that we have in the auction is a full change. So you're getting the whole outfit,
Boots,
including
pants. Wow.
even the gloves. And the gloves, which are leather.
Gloves?
He's got gloves. Look, the same little repair stitching has been added to the gloves as well.
Oh, that's
to
so
tie it all
cool.
in.
I didn't know he had gloves.
Yeah, you see the gloves. I think when you first see him, in fact, this shot where the blaster's on the table, the close-up, he set the gloves down next to it. Go look again.
Super
You'll see,
cool.
now you'll
I
know.
totally will. Look, we've covered a lot of movies in the years of our association, and there are movies that are prop heavy, action heavy, star heavy, costume heavy. This one has it all.
Yes.
It's every last thing they did referring to the original amazing film is also iconic and
It's just a great movie. I mean, so many film fans that I know, and especially science fiction fans, they really revere this title. It's just a great film.
I'm gratified by the sort of cultural renaissance 2049 has gotten. It's well loved now, I can see.
Yeah, and very much a worthy sequel to the original in a way that not everything is, frankly. There are sequels that almost feel like they've hurt the original film.
Yeah, totally.
And this is not that. You know, this for me, it really elevates it. You know.
The auction is happening soon.
Yes, January 30th to February 20th. It's all online only, all the bidding's online.
Okay.
And February 20th is when everything will close. So take a look now. It's all up there and there's some great content.
Do you think someone might try and collect both of these? I mean, that would be a baller move,
that feels
that's
extreme. Let's spread the love. I think there's a 1K costume limit, but yeah.
I love just standing among these pieces. Brandon, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you guys so much for watching that video. I would be remiss if I didn't tell you we have some excellent merch. We have a 5-pack of demerit badges for sale right now at tested/store.com. We've got the I hung it off of level demerit badge, the I built the chair backwards demerit badge, the I hit my thumb with a hammer demerit badge. We've got the stapler in my finger demerit badge, and my favorite, I stuck the duct tape to itself demerit badge. Get yours now, tested/store.store. Tested-store. Tested. It's right here. There. Just click there.